The fall of the Soviet Union in the early 1990s made the United States the only superpower in the world, and it hasn't looked back since. In all aspects of the world, the United States is indeed a superpower, especially when it comes to military might, which is unbeatable in strength, technological superiority, operational capabilities, and ability to project power across the globe. Well, this is just a start, and we'll try to keep you up in this video. We'll look at the top 5 reasons why you wouldn't want to go up against the US military. Number 1. US Air Force. So let's start with the first one, the United States Air Force, the strongest in the world, both in terms of how many planes are in use and how advanced their technology is. There are currently 15,000 military planes in use by all branches of the military, including the US Navy, US Army, Coast Guard, and US Marines. As of 2017, the US Army has a fleet of more than 5,300 planes, 406 intercontinental ballistic missiles, and 170 military satellites. This is more than any other country in the world. The US has the most stealth planes, which are designed to be silent killers and can't be found by most countries' radar defense systems. Air superiority fighters like the F-22 Raptor and the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter and heavy bombers like the B-2 Spirit are examples of stealth aircraft. In fact, the United States was the first country to use this technology when it made the F-117 Nighthawk stealth attack aircraft in the 1980s. Stealth planes are made to avoid being found by using a variety of technologies that reduce radar reflection from ground, sea, or air-based radar antennas. This reduces the plane's radar cross-section, or RCS. With this new technology, a 5th-generation plane like the F-22 Raptor, which has a maximum takeoff weight of 83,500 pounds, can have a radar cross-section the size of a bumblebee. What's even crazier is that the huge B-2 bomber has the same radar cross-section as the F-22 Raptor. This makes it very hard to track stealth aircraft, even if the enemy sees them on their radar scopes. The whole point of this technology is to break the chain of how a traditional surface-to-air missile defense system works. This is the same reason why China and Russia are working hard on their own stealth fighters. The Chengdu J-20 and the Sukhoi Su-57 respectively. These aircraft will allow US Air Force to assert its superiority over any battlefield in the future. And we all know that control of the skies is the most important factor in any war. 2. Nuclear-powered supercarriers. The next reason the US military should be careful is because of how strong it is over the world's oceans, especially with its supercarriers. The US Navy has 11 nuclear-powered NIMITZ-CLASS supercarriers, making it the largest aircraft carrier fleet in the world. The Royal Navy of the United Kingdom probably has 2 operational carriers that are the closest in terms of technology. The Nimitz class of carriers weighs more than 100,000 tons and can carry up to 70 planes. It's like a small town on the water with its own airport. The Nimitz-class carriers are very powerful offensive weapons on their own, but when they work together in what are called carrier strike groups, they are even more dangerous. A carrier almost never deploys on its own. Instead, it is always surrounded by a fleet of surface and underwater assets called a strike group. This group includes guided missile cruisers, destroyers, attack submarines, and other support vessels. Together, they project the power of the carrier towards the enemy, while the carrier's air wing is doing its offensive job. The other ships are in charge of protecting its flanks from any enemy attack. This combination of offensive and defensive strategies makes the U.S. carrier strike group almost impossible to break into. The U.S. Navy has 9 carrier strike groups, 8 of which are based in the U.S., and 1 that's forward deployed to Japan. For over 50 years, this has been the main part of U.S. power protection, and the Nimitz class of supercarriers are at the center of it. Even so, the U.S. is making the Gerald R-4 class of carriers to replace the Nimitz-class ships. This new supercarrier will be even more technologically advanced and is expected to keep the U.S. in control of the oceans well into the late 21st century. 3. ICBMs. The third reason you shouldn't fight the U.S. military is their huge stockpile of nuclear conventional intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs. The ICBM is the land leg of the U.S. nuclear triad, which also includes the Trident submarine-launched ballistic missile, SLBM, and nuclear warheads carried on long-range strategic bombers. ICBMs are fired from missile silos on the ground, reaching a high suborbital spaceflight around 1,000 miles above the Earth's surface. The body of the missile then separates from the warhead, which re-enters the atmosphere and falls at hypersonic speeds to its targets. From its base in Wyoming, Montana, and North Dakota, the U.S. military is currently running 400 ICBMs. Minuteman III is the only ICBM that is currently in use in the U.S. The Minuteman III family of ICBMs was created in the 1960s as a response to the Soviet nuclear threat. Throughout the Cold War and after, these missiles have been constantly updated. In just the last 10 years, the U.S. military has made changes worth $7 billion. The rocket engines, propellants, guidance system, and even the surfaces that control the plane's flight have all been fixed up. Except for the shell, the updated missiles are nothing like the ones from the 1960s. The Minuteman III system has been working for more than 50 years thanks to these cutting-edge improvements and modernizing programs. It sounds remarkable 99 alert rate. The latest missiles can travel more than 8,000 miles, which is farther than the diameter of the Earth, which is 917 miles. They can carry multiple nuclear bombs with a power of 330 kilotons, which is 20 times more powerful than the bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Not only can each of these warheads be sent to a different target, but the technology is called a Multiple Independently Targetable Re-Entry Vehicle, MIRV. 4. Smart bombs. If it were the ICBMs or the stealth fighters bringing down the fire, it would be smart bombs or PGMs. However, I think the US is just so far ahead of everyone else that I won't mess with the US military. Smart bombs are used in some way by every branch of the US military. They are designed to be accurate and hit a specific target as quickly as possible. During the first Gulf War, only 9% of the weapons fired were PGMs, but they were responsible for 75% of all hits. Since then, at least for the US military, the days of normal artillery shells and unguided bombs are long gone. Today, the military uses PGMs from the air, the ground, and the sea. Different kinds of weapons use different kinds of technology to make sure they hit their targets. Most PGMs use the Global Positioning System, GPS, of satellites to guide them to their target. However, GPS coverage isn't always reliable everywhere in the world, and bad weather can slow down operations. So the Office of Naval Research, the Naval Surface Warfare Center, and the Army Research Laboratory have all worked together to make the first ever artillery-fired smart munition that will hit its target with pinpoint accuracy. Moving Target Artillery Round, or MTAR for short, is the name of the project. 5. Drones. The fifth and last reason is that it's drones. We all know what an unmanned aerial vehicle or drone is and what it's supposed to do. But in recent years, UAVs have been getting better and better at being used in all kinds of military operations, with the US military leading the way. At first, drones were only used for surveillance. After the 9/11 attacks, they were quickly turned into weapons. The US military has used them a lot as offensive weapon platforms in the war on terror. Over the next few decades, the U.S. plans to buy more than 1,000 different types of combat drones. Some of them, like the Lockheed Martin RQ-170 Sentinel and the Boeing MQ-25 Stingray, are already in the final stages of development. When they're done, they'll give the U.S. military cutting-edge platforms that can do everything from attack missions to aerial refueling. Drone technology has gotten so good that a single unmanned aerial vehicle, UAV, can now carry more. This will make it possible for all of the U.S. military services to depend less on manned platforms, which will make future combat operations safer. These 5 weapons make the U.S. military very dangerous for anyone who wants to fight them. In conventional warfare, it's almost impossible to beat the U.S. military machine. That's why modern enemies of the U.S. are using more and more asymmetric warfare strategies against the powerful U.S. military. I hope you enjoyed the video. We will be back soon with more amazing content, so stay tuned and don't forget to like our video and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our latest updates. Thanks for watching.